What's left after I put that bedroom there, and I'm working kind of backwards, or almost like a Tetris game, where I'm filling in the boxes, trying to think through them, and make the house make sense and be beautiful, all at the same time. I am Wayne Visbean of Visbean Architects. Today I'd like to start with a plan that is going to be relatively straightforward and design a home with you that would fit on an infill lot in a downtown area. That's become a very popular part of our practice. And what's really fun is the opportunity to do different elevations with the same floor plan. So we have customers that want very traditional homes, we have customers that want outrageous contemporary homes, and then everything in between. And when you come to Visbean Architects, we like to do everything in between. So let's get started. My materials of choice are simple. So I use the Bien Fang pads, the parchment, and I take a 14 by 17 pad and cut it to 11 by 17. So I take 3 inches off that pad so that it fits perfectly on my copy machine. And it just makes it easier to put in my backpacks because that's the size that fits. I use that paper. I have grown very fond of the precise pens. The fine is my absolute favorite. I use this pen probably 90% of the time. When I want to get to finer lines and finer detail, I use the same pen in the extra fine. When I want to highlight or accentuate details, I use the Pilot Bravo because it gives me a fatter, more bold line. When I'm trying to get into really refined detail, I use the Pentel Click or the Pentel Side, the soft lead, just to be able to add detail to the drawing. So those are the materials of choice for me. So when I design a home, the most important thing to start with really is the lot and understanding the parameters. We'll say we are on a 50-foot lot. So let's draw that 50-foot lot. I'm going to turn my paper because when I turn my paper, I can keep my lines going straight. So let's assume that there's a sidewalk on the front of this infill lot, very traditional. Let's say that this lot is 54 feet wide, and in a lot of downtown areas, we have a relatively small setback. So we're going to do a 5-foot setback on this particular lot because that's what I had to do on a very similar project recently. So we're just going to stick with that. And you can do the math. I have 5 feet side yard setback. I have 54 feet of lot. I should have done 55 because that would have been an easier number, but why make it easy? So 54 minus 10 gives me a 44-foot building box. And I like 44 feet. And the reason I like even numbers is because building materials in America, for sure, come in 2-foot increments. And so when I'm designing a home in the States, I typically try to work in 2-foot increments, unless I'm in the southern regions where I'm using a block dimension, and then I will certainly work with block dimensions versus concrete forms. So I have a 44-foot building box. In this particular city lot, I have 20-foot setback. In this case, this house is east to west, so this is a west elevation. So the east is to the rear and north to the right. And you ask, why do you care? Well, I care because I want to know where prevailing winds are coming from. I want to know where the sun's going to be during the day. I want to know how those things impact my drawing, which of course has to be informed in order to create it accurately. I can make a beautiful home and have the home be incorrect as far as the way the weather or the sun is. So you want to think about all these things when you're drawing. I've got a lot that's deep enough that I'm not worried about the depth. I think it's 100 foot deep, but we'll deal with that. So that's 20, that gives me 80, and there is a 20-foot rear yard setback as well. So with a 100-foot lot, I'm taking 40 out. I've got 60 feet to deal with. Now, we're going to build that box, that home in this area. So I'm just going to start with creating what might be that home as far as an outline, just to kind of deal with what I'm dealing with respect to size. Now, we're trying to do a home somewhere in the range of 2,000 to 2,400 square feet, which means my main floor might be 1,200, 1,400 feet. The second floor could be slightly smaller, depending on what I'm going to do. Now, the reason you saw me draw the box off center is I have to get a driveway in, and I just put the driveway on the wrong side because I want the driveway on the south side because I want the sun to hit that drive as much as possible, because in Michigan, we're going to deal with snow. And so that's the beauty of kind of starting with this trace paper, kind of looking at what I have to work with. And I'm just doing the box to start with to kind of get a feeling for what I have to deal with back here. So in this case, I've got 44 feet of building box, but I need minimum of 10 to get a driveway through, and I'd prefer 12. If I do 12, I'm taking an additional 7 feet from the 5 setback, which means now I have a 12-foot setback on this side of the home for a total of 17 feet between this 5 and that 12. 12 feet gives me enough room. If I take an additional 7 feet out of the 44, now you see the dilemma I have. I have just taken it down to 37 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a 36-foot box so that I have room to maybe have a bump out or some more interesting thing, and I can stay with my even numbers we've talked about before. So now I know that I have a 36-foot box to deal with. I can do the math backwards here. So if I take 36 times 10, I'm 360 feet for every box. 720, 1440. So really, I've got about a 40-foot by 36-foot box to get the square footage that I'm trying to deal with. Now, I know I'm working a little backwards by creating a box and I'm going to work within it, but when you're in an infill lot, you've got parameters. So I know now that this box is really what I can deal with maybe a little bit of fluctuation. And I'm going to deal with whether I'm going to have a front porch or not. So let's say I take that 40 feet, which I just talked about, and I'm just doing some organizational things now to understand that 36 by 40. So I'm going to break this into 12, 12, 12. So my 36 is in 12-foot increments, just to get my head into it. I'm 40 feet by 36, so do the math on that. That's 1,200. So it's 1,440 square foot is kind of my number. And I told you we wanted to be somewhere between 2,000 and 2,400 feet. But this gives me the ability to bump into the house and make the square footage a little smaller. Now, I also have to get that garage in place. So conceptually, I'm driving down this drive, which is maybe 8-9 foot wide drive down the side of this home. And the driveway can be past the setback. So here we are going past the sidewalk to the road. Here's the road frontage. And there's my, let's say, 8-foot wide drive with a little bit of space because I might want to put a fence or a boxwood hedge or something to create privacy back here. And in a lot of these townships, I can be 3 feet from the side yard on an accessory building. So this is my garage back here. I can be a little closer to the property line back here, and I'm probably going to have to load this garage front loaded because of the size of the lot and the parameters I'm dealing with. So you can see we're getting kind of snug, and I'm going to come into this garage here. I'm going to have to get my turnaround, back here in the backyard. And so this is kind of what I'm dealing with. Now, if I'm 100 feet wide, I might have a little more room here to get this garage back a little further. So you can see I'm not worrying about the fact that I'm drawing lines over lines. I'm just spending time right now getting my boxes in order and trying to understand the lot and how I'm going to work with this car, this drive, this family's home. And so let's put some shading on the driveway just to give clarity for my own sanity. Now I want to look at the house itself, and I haven't really thought about it, but until I kind of set this site up, I don't know what I'm dealing with. So this gives me a clarity of thought. Now I can play with, do I want this house to have a bump in the back here to create a sunroom, a screened room, something that becomes a nice space for the outdoor living? I can put a nice patio back here and still have connection to the garage. I could flip it and have the sunroom on this side and give myself more view to the backyard, which might actually be even better. And then depending on what I'm doing, I'm going to probably plan some landscape to create a sense of privacy for these folks, because these infill lots tend to have another home right next door, and they're on the same basic parameters. So we know that we're going to have neighbors, and then there's probably neighbors behind. So now this is green space. This could be my sunroom, which might be nicer because the distance then from the garage to the room is shorter. So now I'm in the winter and I want to get from my house to my garage because it's detached. I'm trying to keep it closer for ease of living. So that would help the living condition. And then this patio would be great. And what I like about this patio is it's on the northeast side of the house, so it'll be shaded in the afternoon, giving you a great place to hang out in the shade, while this room could be considered a sunroom because it's going to get morning light in the east coming into the home. It's going to get that southern light as the light and the sun goes from east to west, and it comes in this side of the house. Now that's great because I really do like the kitchen coming off the garage. And if I have a sunroom or family room or screened room here, that's going to give me a zone for my kitchen, which is going to be close to the garage, closer for bringing in groceries, closer to the driveway in case I want to stop here and pop in a side door. So maybe we're going to consider a side door here, because a side door would give me a great place to stop the car and bring groceries in. So there's my car, there's my groceries, and I've got 12 feet now to work with, actually 13 because I gave myself that extra foot. 13's not bad. Okay, so now that we've got this site plan in play, it doesn't mean I won't change things as I move along, but it gives me a pretty good feeling for where I'm headed. And I will do this exact thing we did today in the meeting with my client when they bring this site to me and start talking about it, and they're going to give me a style. What style do you want to build? In this case, the client that we're going to talk about started with wanting a Georgian or a more traditional home in this infill spot. We have this base plan. So I'm now going to take this, put it aside. What I know is I'm 36 feet wide, I'm 40 feet long, plus the bonus space here. And so I'm going to kind of start by saying, let's take a box that's 40 feet long, 36 feet wide. And as you can see, I'm not measuring, I'm just guessing. And I suppose it's a guess after 35 years of drawing homes that might be pretty close. I certainly hope. But I'm going to just kind of put that base floor plan together. And what you can see, I'm drawing double lines. Why am I drawing double lines? Because there's a thickness to the wall. Probably a 2x6 thickness to the wall on the first floor. And so we're going to start with that. Now, this particular client might want to have a primary bedroom on the main level. It's very tricky in this small home, but I'm going to try to do that today. 36 feet wide. I'm comfortable that I could do a 12-foot wide or even a 14-foot wide bedroom. So let's start with 14 feet instead of 12. And we'll put that on the front of the home so that I can get some really great windows. And that will help me stay with the Georgian style because I'm going to have symmetry in a Georgian. So I've got my 14-foot wide room. And I know that's maybe a little crazy that I'm starting with the bedroom, but I'm just kind of working my way back. A king-size bed's going to need 10'6" as a minimum, in my opinion, to get end tables, a bed, and another end table, giving a little bit of room to the around the bed itself. I like to have a 14-foot wall. I don't know if I have enough room, but I'm going to try it. That would give me the ability then to either create a window seat or a bump in the front of the home, which would be nice because I don't have a lot of room for furniture because I'm tight on space. So if I could do a window seat, somebody could still sit in the room, get ready for work. They could still maybe have a space here with 14 feet because the bed's 7. I've got 3 or 4 here and 2 feet here, so that's 5 and 7 is 12 plus the walls. It's about right. That gives me room for the bed, maybe a TV cabinet and table. And then I've got to get in the room, but I don't want to walk in the room directly into the bedroom itself because it loses privacy at that point. So let's come into the room through a little vestibule or foyer. That could be here. And the door could still be in the hall, but this vestibule foyer then would work its way into whatever we're going to do. I'm going to leave room for a bathroom, and I've got to leave room for a closet. So let's say that this is 14. Let's say that this bathroom is 10. And this closet, I'd really like it to be 8, but I don't know if I have room because I'm only 44 feet or 40 feet. So it's going to, again, this knowledge now makes me think, do I have to make the house a little bigger on this floor? And what I would tell this particular client, if they want to have the house in that 2,400 square feet range, 2,000 to 2,400, the primary bedroom might have to go to the second floor. And this is the experiment we're doing right now, just to inspect what we expect. So let's assume that I can get this closet in here, and this is 6, that's 16, that's 30 feet. I need more than 10 feet back here. So I'm gonna take the bedroom to 12, which works. Leave the bath at 10, put 6 on this closet, but there's 2 closets here, as you can see. So there's room for a pretty good closet here and back here with this bath. And I wanna leave this as at least 14, but I'm gonna make it 16, so I'm gonna go to 42. And it's not an issue because they haven't really, it isn't a rule that I have to be at this square footage, it's just kind of where I'm trying to go. I'm looking at this then to be the family room. And you see what's happening is what's left after I put that bedroom there, and I'm working kind of backwards, or almost like a Tetris game, where I'm filling in the boxes in a very organized manner, trying to think through them and make the house make sense and be beautiful, all at the same time. Now, what you don't know is that I'm thinking about the shape of the house, the style of the house, the roof of the house while I'm drawing this plan. This rectangle is very easy because I can easily do a hip roof on this house, and I can take that hip across the back. I could do a balcony on top of this flat screened room or sunroom. I could do another hip roof on it. I could do a million different styles once I had this base. So let's say that I have this great room, family space here with the windows to the backyard, which we said were very important. And we'll put a fireplace on that wall for 2 reasons. One is it's going to create some privacy from the neighbor who's here. It's also going to give this homeowner a focal point. There's a wall here, which is the end of the closet, bedroom, bath. And then I have now what's kind of a beautiful hallway coming down the middle. And I was trying to get the hallway down the middle of the house to have access to view or a window or a door. So let's say that that becomes a door, and this is my door to the house. And let's see, I'm 14, I'm 2, I'm 16. So I'm trying to get that directly in the middle and give myself another, the symmetry that I'm looking for from the front of the home. So again, we're 14 foot wide, 36 feet, I've got 22 left. If I'm 14 here, I'm 28. I've got an 8-foot hall in the center of the home. Now that's perfect. I got lucky because I need to get a stair. And I need to get a stair up in this home, and I'm thinking that if I do it within that 8 feet, I could have a 4-foot corridor and a 4-foot stair, and it both could be, the stair could be a little smaller. So that would give me a stairway going right up the center of the home, which is a good place to have it go because it ends up at a stair hall on the second floor. Now again, we're doing 2 things at once. I'm doing the first floor and thinking about the second floor. If that stair goes up to this second floor here, I'll be in the center of the home, allowing me to go to all the rooms without creating a long hallway. So we've got our hall, we've got our stair, we've got our great room or family room. Let's put some furniture in here so you can get a feel for it. I might have a sectional because I can get a lot of people on a sectional, and it might face out towards the view because that's where my grass is. I might have a couple of chairs. Now what you're saying is, why are you furnishing the plan? I furnish the plan to see that it works and it lives the way I want to have a home live. Many architects will draw a floor plan in boxes and never put a bed or furniture in that home. I want to know that the king-size bed fits. I want to know that a sectional fits and I can watch the TV, see the fireplace, and look out the backyard all at the same time. Because this hallway, I want to have circulation in the center of the home, I'll put a sofa table behind that sectional. Why not put a sofa table behind the sofa? That's what it is, it's a sofa. And then I have some space here, right? I don't have to have the entire 8-foot wide for entering the home here, so I can come back to the 4, and it gives me some potential space here. So let's find out what we're going to use that space for. I don't know yet. I have a feeling that we're going to create what I would call a flex room on this level. Whether this is a home office, That could be a home office. That could be a flex space. I'm going to need to get a bathroom. Do I need a laundry on this level? Yes, because of the primary bedrooms here, I need laundry on the same level. Some people would say put it in the lower level, or people call that a basement. I don't like to use the word basement because it's got negative connotations. Basements are where you hide people that you're, never mind. That's a whole nother story. So I've got some windows in this bedroom. I've got my access. I've got my sinks. I've got maybe a private stool room. I don't want the toilet to flush against the wall, so I'll put the stool room there. I'm going to walk in the bedroom here, and I'm going to be able to get my shower and maybe the closet's this whole piece here, and I can do the shower in this location. Just enough to start the process going. All right, got my hall. I've got a flex room. And when I say a flex room, I like a room that has multiple purposes. So for instance, it's an old couple. There's two of them living there. One of them becomes infirmed. I take the flex room and I use it as the infirmary. So there's a bed and I can make a hospital bed. And I know it seems crazy, but if you don't think about how people live in the home and age in the home, you're not doing justice to your client. It isn't just about making a beautiful home. It's about making a place that they can live until they don't. All right, so now I need to get a bathroom in the home and a powder room. So why not put the powder room right here and make it a 3/4 in this case, so that if in fact this does become a bedroom or is used as a bedroom or has a Murphy bed in the office to make it an extra guest bedroom, I can do that. So here is my same windows, symmetric, because it's a Georgian, remember. So I'm going to do the same window bump. I'm going to give myself room for a nice front porch here. And I'm going to push the house back to accommodate it, because you're saying, wait a minute, you went past your setback. That's right, I did. So now my setback is here, and I'm pushing the house back a little bit. I added 2 feet here, so I've added 4, 2 is 6. Now I'm 46 feet. And you have to be thinking about this the whole time you're drawing. So I've got my powder room, which acts as the powder for the home. It acts as the bedroom, bathroom. There's a door to the bedroom here. And I still left room now for a beautiful pantry. Maybe I do a wine cabinet in the hall. So this is a built-in inset to make the hall wider at this point, and we're going to draw this in more detail in a moment. It gives me access here. Maybe I come into this being my laundry room. So I get a couple machines in here and a return counter here. And then this is my pantry, butler pantry, which I'm going to put here, and my kitchen counter is going to be that entire, I think we were 14 or 16. I moved it to 16, didn't I? That's great. So this is 16 feet, which is nice. That gives me a butler pantry here. So I am 4, 2, 2, and I have left 14, and I need 5 minimum for this laundry after the 2-foot counter. So this is a 7-foot room. So I have, the pantry still at least 14 minus 7 is 7. Minus 2 plus 2 is 9. So this pantry could be 8 feet wide. I could double load cabinets and still have a 4 feet counter because I've got enough room here. And I want to have my fireplace on that end of the room. I'm going to put a range on this end because I like the symmetry and the balance. I also like the range hood being on center of the light fixture over the living room, over this beautiful kind of corridor here, and now my kitchen. And my kitchen runs this whole run. So I could put cabinets and such here. Those are taking up 2 feet. So the question is, if I put a counter run here 2 feet times 14 plus 4 is 18 minus 6 is 12. So that's a 12-foot run. This is a 16-foot run. I can use this 12-foot run, and I could put my island this way. I could put my range hood this way, facing out, or my range hood here, and turn the island the opposite way. So now this is where clients' preferences come in. And so I can design this kitchen 3 different ways, which is great because that means I could take this same floor plan and make different kitchen options for different people as I change the elevation from Georgian to contemporary. So with 16 feet, if I take 2 out here, I only have 14 left. I'd like a minimum of 39 inches, let's say 3'6" here. So now I'm 5 feet 6 And I like to be symmetric and 5 feet 6. Well, the problem with 5 feet 6 and 5 feet 6, it's 11 feet off of 16. That means the island can only be 5 feet wide if I have cabinetry here. So I might choose to inset this cabinet, which is a change of plan, but I think if I inset the cabinets into this room, and you're gonna see why, and push the laundry and the bath tighter, I can do it, there's room to do it, and I'll show you in a moment. So now this is kitchen cabinets. Now I can leave my 3'6" here, and my 3'6" here, it's 7 feet, and I have 16. That leaves me at least an 8-foot counter run here because I've got some walls to deal with. Now I've got an 8-foot island, and an 8-foot island, by the way, is my favorite dimension as a minimum, because if I have a 36-inch sink, I want to put a 2-foot dishwasher on one side. I want to give myself room for trash, pull out trash and pull out recycling on the other side. That's 2 feet, that's 3 feet, that's 2 feet. So there is 7 and a little bit of room for some design on the outside edges of the island. So that island then would be 8 by 4, because if I do 2-foot cabinets underneath, now I have room for an overhang, and I have room for 4 stools on an 8-foot island if they're 22-inch stools. And if you want big stools like 26, 28-inch stools, you put 3. So it's a matter of the furniture you choose. So now I've got space for this island, the sink, and so as you can see, I've got a couple options. I could put a dining table here. You might think that's too crowded. I want space to live because I'm 14 feet. So this is 2, 4, and 4. That's 10 feet. I've got 4 feet here, and I've got 8 feet in the aisle. So there's a 12-foot space there, plenty of room for a table. If you don't like the table here because that space is asymmetric and not on the center, which would bother me a little bit, you might decide that it'd be better to have the dining space in this room here. Instead of a sunroom, we make it the dining room. And that's also fine. So you can see the options in the same floor plan. I can get a table here, I can integrate it, I could put a island table. So a lot of times I'm doing islands that have the sink here, and then we create a booth or a bench here and a table here with 2 seats. So now the table's integrated right into the island. And I'm gonna do that in this case because it's more efficient, and then I have a sunroom or a screened porch if I want to have that. And maybe this is nano walls and I can make this a screened room, which would be kind of fun. So what you may be asking, and I apologize if I go too fast, is how do you know the scale of the home and what you're drawing? Well, a lot of it's experience and time in working on it, but I'm not 100% sure I'm on the money yet. This is my quick concept, which normally I would do an overlay on this and clean up what I just drew and furnish it. But in order to help be more accurate, don't be afraid to use grid paper and start to count out what you just did to see if it works and inspect what you expect. So I'm trying to think about all the little nuances in this very compact plan because we're 46 by 36. So I'm using hallways as functional space. The hallway is the laundry. And again, it doesn't have to be that you see the machines. You can do a pocket door that slides back in and the machines are there when you want them and they're not when you don't. We're really under control with this first floor. And that's the beauty. But I don't think we changed much else. You know, I refined the kitchen by moving this island, this cabinetry back. So when I look at the 2 sketches, I feel very comfortable that we were pretty spot on with the original thought, or the centering of the door from the door not being centered with the landing here and no door to the flex room, to adding the door to the flex room in front of the stair actually, I think, makes the room nicer. So when you enter, it's like a reception room. I like the pocket door from the flex room to the bath and closet so that I can use it as a flex room truly. So this base plan gives us a lot of flexibility and I really like it. So as we started to draw today, we started with a floor plan and thought that the floor plans could then turn into elevations in a very quick class. But as I started to develop the floor plans, we started to think we needed more time. So I spent the entire class developing the floor plans, really showing the art of architectural design through planning. We then took those floor plans, which was always the intention, and did 3 elevations for the base floor plan that we designed. And I'm hoping that we can let you come back to see that in class number 2. I really do think it's going to be worth you seeing what we did and how we got there. So if you would do me a favor after having watched this video, first, I'd love your feedback. Secondly, I'd love to see what you would draw. And if you want to take my floor plan and show me elevations that you could do with it, that would be fabulous. If you could do that and tag Visbean Architects, that would be fantastic.